Between 1764 and 1767, a wave of terror swept through the rugged countryside of southern France in a region known as Gévaudan. Isolated villages, dense forests, and rolling hills formed a landscape both beautiful and unforgiving, a place where superstition and survival were deeply intertwined. It was here that a mysterious predator emerged, a creature that would come to be known as the Beast of Gévaudan. Its attacks were brutal, its behavior baffling, and its identity remains one of history's most enduring enigmas. The first recorded attack occurred in the summer of 1764. A young woman tending cattle near the village of Langon reported an encounter with a massive, wolf-like animal, according to her account. The beast charged at her but was driven away by her herd of cows. At the time, the incident seemed unusual but not entirely inexplicable. Wolves were known to roam the countryside, and attacks on livestock were common. However, what followed would quickly shatter any sense of normalcy within weeks. Reports began to surface of violent assaults on villagers, unlike typical wolf attacks. This creature appeared to deliberately hunt humans. Its victims were often women and children, individuals who worked alone in fields or traveled between villages. The killings were savage. Bodies were discovered mutilated, sometimes partially consumed, sometimes left in ways that suggested something more than simple predation. Fear spread rapidly, fueled by whispers and exaggerations that transformed the beast into something almost supernatural. Witness descriptions added to the mystery. Survivors and observers consistently described a creature larger than a typical wolf, with a long, narrow snout, reddish or tawny fur, and a dark stripe running along its back. Some claimed it had an unusually broad chest, powerful jaws, and a tail that ended in a tuft. Others insisted its movements were strange, almost feline rather than canine, and that it seemed unnaturally bold, showing little fear of humans or weapons. As the attacks increased, panic took hold across Gévaudan. Villagers began to travel in groups, children were kept indoors, and daily life was reshaped by the constant threat of violence. Churches filled with frightened worshippers seeking protection, while local authorities struggled to respond to a crisis that seemed to defy explanation. The French crown soon became involved. King Louis XV was informed of the situation, and what had begun as a regional problem escalated into a matter of national concern. The king dispatched professional hunters to the region, including experienced wolf hunters tasked with eliminating the threat. Among them was Jean-Charles de Neval, a renowned hunter from Normandy, who arrived with his son and a team of skilled trackers. Hunting the beast, however, proved far more difficult than anyone anticipated. The forests of Gévaudan were vast and treacherous, offering countless hiding places. Wolves were abundant in the region, and distinguishing the killer from ordinary animals was nearly impossible. Hunting parties organized large-scale drives, combing through the wilderness and killing dozens, sometimes hundreds of wolves. Yet the attacks continued. This persistence deepened the mystery. If the beast were simply a wolf, why did killing so many others have no effect? Some began to speculate that there might be more than one creature involved. Others believed the beast was something entirely different, perhaps a hybrid, a trained animal, or even a supernatural entity sent as punishment or omen. In 1765, the king sent his own royal gun-bearer, Francois Antoine, to take control of the hunt. Antoine was a seasoned marksman and a figure of considerable authority. After months of tracking, he killed a large wolf near the Abbey of Chazes. The animal was enormous, and its appearance seemed to match many of the descriptions provided by witnesses. It was declared the Beast of Gévaudan, and its body was preserved and sent to the royal court at Versailles. For a brief moment, it appeared that the nightmare was over. But the relief was short-lived. Within months, new attacks were reported. The killings resumed with the same ferocity as before, undermining the claim that the beast had been slain. Panic returned, perhaps even more intense than before, as the realization set in that the true predator was still at large, or that there had never been just one. Over the next 2 years, the people of Gévaudan endured continued terror. The death toll rose, with estimates suggesting that dozens, possibly over 100 people were killed. The exact number is difficult to determine. as records from the time were inconsistent and often influenced by fear and rumor. Nevertheless, the impact on the region was undeniable. Entire communities lived under constant threat, their routines dictated by the movements of an unseen enemy. The final chapter of the story began in 1767. A local hunter named Jean Chastel emerged as a central figure, unlike the royal hunters who had come and gone. Chastel was a resident of the region, familiar with its terrain and wildlife. According to accounts, he joined a hunting party organized by local authorities and eventually encountered the beast near Montmachet. The details of the encounter have taken on a legendary quality. Some stories claim that Chastel used silver bullets, blessed by a priest, to kill the creature, an element that has contributed to the mythic aura surrounding the event. While historians often dismiss this detail as folklore, it reflects the deep sense of fear and superstition that had developed around the beast. What is more certain is that Chastel did kill a large animal believed to be responsible for the attacks. After its death, the killings ceased. Unlike the earlier wolf killed by Francois Antoine, this creature was not sent to Versailles, and detailed records of its examination are scarce. As a result, its true nature was never definitively established. Was it a particularly large wolf? A wolf-dog hybrid? An exotic animal, such as a hyena or lion, that had somehow found its way to rural France? Or was it something else entirely, something shaped as much by fear and imagination as by physical reality? The mystery of the beast of Gévaudan has endured for over 2 centuries, inspiring countless theories, books, and adaptations. Some researchers argue that the attacks can be explained by a series of unusually aggressive wolves, possibly driven by environmental pressures or habituation to human prey. Others suggest that a single, atypical animal, perhaps suffering from disease or raised in captivity, developed a pattern of hunting humans. More speculative theories venture into darker territory. Some have proposed that the beast was trained by a human, used as a weapon to terrorize the population. A few even suggest the involvement of a serial killer who used animal attacks as a cover for murder. While these ideas remain controversial and largely unsupported by concrete evidence, they highlight the complexity of the case and the difficulty of separating fact from legend. What makes the story of the Beast of Gévaudan so compelling is not just the violence of the attacks, but the uncertainty that surrounds them. Unlike many historical events, there is no clear resolution, no definitive answer that ties together all the details. Instead, the case exists as a blend of documented history and evolving folklore, shaped by the fears and beliefs of those who lived through it. In many ways, the beast reflects the anxieties of its time. 18th century rural France was a place where the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural were often blurred. Scientific understanding of animal behavior was limited, and unexplained events were frequently interpreted through the lens of religion or superstition. The idea of a monstrous creature stalking the countryside was not just plausible, it was almost expected. Yet even with modern knowledge, the mystery remains difficult to unravel. While it is tempting to dismiss the beast as nothing more than a series of wolf attacks exaggerated by fear, the consistency of certain details, its apparent size, its focus on human victims, its resilience despite extensive hunting suggests that something unusual was indeed at play. The legacy of the Beast of Gévaudan continues to captivate the imagination. It has been the subject of films, literature, and historical investigations, each attempting to reconstruct the events and uncover the truth. But perhaps its enduring power lies in its ambiguity. The beast is not just a creature. It is a question, one that challenges our understanding of history, nature, and the stories we tell to make sense of both. In the end, the terror that gripped Gévaudan faded, but the mystery did not. The forests grew quiet once more, the villages returned to their routines, and the memory of the beast became part of local legend. Yet the question remains, echoing through time. What was the Beast of Gévaudan? A wolf? A monster? Or something that exists only in the space between reality and fear? No one has ever proven the answer, and perhaps that is why this story endures, because some mysteries refuse to be solved, lingering instead as shadows in the history of human experience.